welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to do this galaxy inspired makeup look. Now, there's actually quite a bit of a backstory behind this one because when I first started my YouTube channel 3 years ago now, and I was coming up with ideas of things that I wanted to do on my channel that I knew I wanted to do, this was one of the first looks where I thought I really want to do a galaxy makeup look, and at the time I didn't think that I was good enough, or I thought it was going to be a little bit out of my ability. So today I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it a go and see what happens, and I am so happy with how it turned out. I just absolutely love it. One of my favourite parts is the lips. I just think the lips look amazing, and I've just had so much fun creating this look. Honestly, this has probably been the most fun I've had creating looks for my YouTube channel in a little while. I'd say this is like my favourite Halloween makeup look I've done so far. I just absolutely love how it turned out. I think it's because it's quite sentimental for me, because I remember when I first started my channel thinking I'd love to be able to do something like that, and now being sat here, and I just feel like I've come quite a long way since when I first started. So I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and if you want to see how to get the look which I'm wearing right now, then just keep on watching. So I'm starting off this makeup look with my Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation, and then I'm just prepping my eyelids and also concealing under my eyes using the Collection Lasting Perfection Concealer, and then I'm just setting that in place with the MAC Mineralize Skin Finish in the shade Light. I didn't really put too much effort into the base. I just wanted to make sure we had a clean base to work on, but what I did make sure to do is to set everything so that when we started layering eyeshadows on top, it was nice and set and they all blended out nicely. I'm then taking a blue shadow from the Morphe 35C palette. Now what I will say is the colours that you use, I really wouldn't worry too much about. If you don't have what I use, just improvise whatever you've got at home. I just used what was available to me. But with this shade, all I'm doing is laying down the shape of the mask that I want for the finished makeup look, the final look. So I'm not worrying too much about building up colour or making the blend in perfect. I'm literally just carving out the shape that I want on my face, making sure I do still have a little bit of space below and above, like a little bit on my forehead and a little bit around my nose and cheek area, so that I can add more colour to it. So I really didn't want it to be flat. I wanted there to be quite a lot of colours in mine, so I made sure to leave a little bit of room to add colour at the bottom. So here, what I'm doing is I'm using the eyeshadow Carnival by Geek, and I'm using my blusher brush, and I'm just, as I said, I left quite a bit of room to add more colour, so I added this pink shade just to blend out the edges of the blue, and I just loved how this made it look. I think it made it look a lot more ethereal and a little bit more sunset-like, so I made sure to add that at the top of the bottom where the blue finishes on the face, and I do just look, I think it just made it look a lot more magical. I'm then taking the shade Blindsided from the Urban Decay Full Spectrum palette, and I'm just adding other bits of colour to different areas and kind of blending them together, so it creates an almost marbly effect, if that makes sense, or a tie-dye effect. So I'm not really being too worried about where each of the colours go. I'm just adding colour, building up to make sure they're opaque enough, and blending them in. So for the eyes, I wanted to make sure that the eyes weren't lost amongst the actual makeup look, because obviously there's going to be a lot going on in this makeup look, and I still wanted it to feel like you still look pretty, or you're still emphasizing your features with the look. So I took this shadow here, which is called Mink, and again it's from the Urban Decay Full Spectrum palette, and I just started doing a basic smoky eye. So I popped it into my crease and on the outer edge, and then blended it out to create a really sultry smoky eye. This colour was so beautiful. I did also end up using a little bit of Blindsided as well, just to blend it in with the rest of the blue that was on our face, so it all looked quite cohesive and it wasn't just like eyes and then the rest of the look. I wanted them all to blend in together. I also took that eyeshadow on the lower lash line and blended it out quite far, because I felt, because it was quite a dramatic look, I felt like we could go quite heavy on the lower lash line, and it made it a little bit more sultry and sexy rather than just standard blue eyeshadow, and I really just think that this really added to the look and made it look a lot more almost wearable because you still looked pretty through all the blue. I'm then taking the metallic blue from the KKW Makeup by Mario palette, and again I'm just adding this to my lid just to finish off a basic smoky eye look, so that when we close our eyelids there's a little bit of hint of colour that kind of help brings our eyes out a little bit where it's not getting lost behind all the other blue. I'm then taking that mink shade again and I'm adding it to the outer portion of my face and of the look, because I felt like one of the things that was missing, that as I was looking at the look, it just looked too bright. I really wanted it to give that very dark galaxy depth of the universe type look to it, so I ended up adding this very dark matte blue to the outer portion and blending it towards the inner. I didn't want to lose any of the colours that we'd laid down already because I really loved the colour, but at the same time it needed a bit more depth and dimension to it. I also made sure to blend right into my hairline, because what I didn't like was you could see where the makeup stopped and the hair started, and I didn't like that at all. So I made sure that the blue went right into my hairline so you couldn't see any skin from that side of my face at all, and it really did just make it look so much better. And then just adding a little bit of a liquid liner to my top lash line to prep for false eyelashes, because nobody wants to see a lash band, especially because the lashes that I wore have quite a thick lash band. And then taking a mascara, this is a MAC one, and I'm just making sure my lashes are nicely coated so that you can't see them when we put false-ons on. I'm then taking this foiled shadow by Makeup Geek. This is called Masquerade, and I just added it for a little bit because it's foiled. It just added a little bit of a sheen and a shine on top of the other purpley colours we kind of added onto the blue, and I just liked how it gave it a little bit of a highlighted kind of effect. And I did exactly the same thing again with that Makeup by Mario blue. Again, that has the same sort of foiled finish, so I layered this on top of a little bit of the blue areas so that when you moved your face it did look like it was highlighted and not flat. I'm then taking the NYX white liquid liner, and I am starting off by drawing the few little stars on my cheeks. So I basically started creating little crosses, and then I did end up going back and adding them in like little bits in between. You'll see in a second, I'll show you, just to make it look a little bit more detailed. Now I will say, after I'd done the rest of the look, I ended up going over the top of these again to brighten them up, because they did get a little bit lost once I started adding more detail. But it was good to have a guide as to where I wanted to put everything else, if that makes sense. Like I had to have a starting point. So yeah, and I think they made a real big difference. I thought they made it look a lot more detailed. Here you can see I'm just adding those tiny little bits in between just to make them look really star-like. The other thing to remember is to keep your brush quite like with less product on, so you can really add a lot of detail. I'm then taking the Snazaroo white face paint with a toothbrush, and I'm keeping the product quite dry, and then I'm just literally splattering the paint on my face, and kind of creating different shapes and more stars in one area and less stars in another, and I just felt like this was the most effective way to create stars. But then I did end up going over the top again with my NYX liner and adding some little shooting stars. So I did loads of little dots all over the face, I think you'll probably see in a minute, but before I did that I did this. I added quite a lot of product into one dot and then just used a little brush just to blend it out and made it look like shooting stars shooting across the face. And again, I thought this was really effective and really added to it, made it look a lot more detailed. And I think I ended up doing quite a few of those because I loved the way that they looked, but then ended up in the end going over and doing a few bigger stars. Here I'm just going over the original stars we drew just to make them stand out, because as you can see they were lost a little bit once the face paint went on. It ended up being quite dense, so I wanted to make sure you could still see those. The lashes I'm using are the SOSU lashes in the style Holly, and I'm just popping those on. I liked these because they were quite thick and dense, so you could actually see them still, even though we had a lot going on the face, which I just think it made the look so much more pretty and feminine. I'm then just using a burgundy. This is a NYX liquid liner. This is a NYX lip liner. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll leave it linked down below. I'll leave the name of it down below, just as a guide. And then for the lips, I actually mixed the Mink eyeshadow with Duraline by Inglot. to create that very midnight blue liquid lip look on my lips, but it really was just the eyeshadow. I quite liked that I ended up using the same eyeshadow because I feel like it made the whole look go together and everything looked very seamless and very matchy and I liked that. I then ended up using Blindsided again, and I also went over the top with Masquerade again, and I just blobbed them together. So it was Blindsided that I used first here, and then I went over with Masquerade and added a little bit of the purple in between the blue, and it just gave it the exact same effect that we did on the face but on the lips. And I just kept adding and like adding and taking away a bit of the blue, adding more purple until I felt like it looked good. And then I did exactly the same thing with the lips. In terms of the stars, I sprayed a load of face paint on there. Now I would recommend probably keeping your mouth shut, but for some reason I kept my mouth open and let all the paint spray in my mouth. I have no idea why, but I just did. And then I went over the top again and added a little bit more detail with the NYX liquid liner, again just creating little stars, bigger dots and little shooting stars. And then I finished by using the Forever Living black pencil liner, and I added some lower lash mascara, and then this was the finished makeup look, which I thought just looked amazing. I'm so proud of it. I think it's definitely one of my favourites to date. So this is the finished Galaxy makeup look. I absolutely love how this turned out. I honestly can't express to you, I can't stop looking in the viewfinder. I think it's just so eye-catching and the lip just brings the whole thing together. I just love this look so much. It's my favourite I think I have ever done on my channel. I just love it so much. So if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, subscribe. I think I just said that already. Any other videos you want to see on this channel, please just leave me a comment down below and I will get it done for you. And thank you so much for watching and for clicking on this video, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!